Hi, Miss Newbern here. So the purpose of this lesson is to kind of help walk you through some things that you can do to help make your household and your neighborhood more resilient in the face of disaster. So one of the important things is really to be able to keep social connections. And obviously in a time when people are doing distance socializing or social distancing, being able to kind of check in with people is super important. And the other thing is that you really want to be more structured about it, especially with people, maybe neighbors or family members that don't have as many people checking in on them, just to make sure that everyone's got what they need and that emotionally they're fine. We're going to go through some rough times. Sometimes you'll be sad, sometimes you'll be angry, sometimes you'll be frustrated. And so it's really important for us to be kind of kind to ourselves and to other people because we're dealing with a lot. And being able to have a support network is really important. And the important thing is you don't want to just, one person to one person, because if one person gets ill, or distracted by life, then there's no one checking in. Okay. So we want to have like kind of more like networks of people. So it's kind of just you think about the ecology, when we talk about that in science, that the more of like the food web, when it's more of a web, it's more resilient. And so you want to kind of think web and like how are you going to be kind of connecting in with each other. So I know as students, you folks can tend to be a little bit more better about this web idea because you're connecting with lots of friends, but really being more of like having a structured check-in would be great. And also just thinking about maybe are there neighbors that that you can kind of help out with, obviously with your parents' permission and understanding that like, oh, I'm going to check in on our elderly neighbor and give them a call once a day, just say, hi, it's, you know, Rebecca, and I'm just calling to say hi and how are you? And, my family's going grocery shopping this week. Do you need any groceries? Let us know so we can add it to our bill. So just kind of having those more thoughtful check-ins is really super helpful. And also don't forget to have a really great self-care routine. So having a program in the morning that you're going to take care of yourself, having your exercise, and all that built in is going to be really important to kind of help us get through this challenging time. And then the other part we want to do is have a neighbor check-in. So once again, this is great in general, but obviously right now people are a lot more aware that systems like this are important. So the neighbor check-in is about, you might have family calling you. So for example, my family lives in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. So they're calling me, they're checking in with me. But let's say, for example, they try to call me and I don't answer their phone calls and they're getting nervous. What we want is I want my family to have two different neighbors' phone and email information. So if they can't reach me for some reason, they're going to be able to call my neighbors and then my neighbors can like come in and check on me and knock on the door or see if they like, oh, her car's not there. Oh yeah, I remember she said she was doing something. So really important to have a system. And that not only that, but my neighbors should also have my family's contact information. So same thing that they can kind of alert them if anything's kind of happening with me and then I might need some extra support. So if you have a neighborhood watch, so some neighborhoods are a little bit more organized than others, it's good that if you have kind of a spreadsheet that collects all of this information. Once again, this might not be something you as a kid do, but you can let your parents know about it. And this whole lesson here, I would really encourage you to do it with your family because, the neighbor check-in piece is something that your parents are probably going to have to organize, you know, but just once again, you as a kid can be an advocate for saying, hey, let's make sure we have some neighbors' contact information. Let's make sure we share it with our family who lives in Los Angeles. And then the other piece, so let me just kind of show the document just so you can see it. So basically here, what you're going to do is you're going to put your household name and then the two neighbors and their phone numbers, and then also who are family and friends regularly check in with you. And they might be local or they might not be local. And once again, the neighbors get a copy of this electronically is fine for now, and your family gets a copy of electronically for this. Once again, do think a little bit further out the road that when we have power safety shutoffs, later on they are going to want a hard copy of this. So maybe they write it down so that they have this as well. So just think a little bit further out beyond this current crisis we're in. Let's see. Okay, so that's one piece, oopsie daisy. And then the other thing is having an emergency contact and evacuation plan. So obviously in this case here with COVID-19, we're not in an evacuation system. But if it was like the fire season, we might have something like that. But it's good, to take this opportunity to really think a little bit beyond what's happening now about like, okay, yeah, we have hurricanes in this area, or we have earthquakes. While we're kind of organizing ourselves, can we be thoughtful to include those other potential threats as well in our response? So this document here is a way for your family to kind of organize your contact information and also think about so here, for example, who are the household members, what are their phone numbers, emails, any allergies or medical stuff. I have to tell you that when I did this with my neighbors and I was collecting contact information for my neighbors, there was only one neighbor on a block of 50 that knew their wife's phone number by heart. So really good to have this, and if you can print it out, great. But also like out of area contact. So more for this would be something that doesn't hit the whole nation, but more as local to your area, like an earthquake or a hurricane, where if there was something happening, you could call someone out of the area, and sometimes they can coordinate a response within the area because it's hard. Everyone's trying to call each other locally. The lines are blocked up, but sometimes calling someone outside of the area can help kind of make those connections. And then the good neighbor thing, once again, these are just a list of your 2 neighbors here. So this is just all in one sheet. And then the family or friends that regularly are going to check in on you. And then if once again you had to evacuate or there was a disaster like an earthquake and you weren't at home, or you were at home, like what's the procedure that you have? Like who's taking care of the kids, who's getting the pets, who's getting, people in the household that might have special needs. And then lastly on this is a 10-minute evacuation plan. Now, if you had to evacuate your house, once again, for a pandemic, that's not really what's happening. We're all sheltering in place. But let's say, for example, in another situation, we had a gas leak. There was a gas leak just yesterday, and I got an alert. And if I had to evacuate, I would want to have thought about it ahead of time. What is most valuable to me? And what is most valuable to you and your family is very personal. It might be some family heirloom that was given to you by your grandparents. It might be computers. It might be things of monetary value. It might be things that are just going to get you through this period, in terms of basic needs. So having a list pre-thought out is super important because in some situations you may not be able to come back to your house for an extended period of time, or your house might not be there when you get back, if it's something like a fire that goes through your neighborhood. So once again, these are important things to pre-think about. Once again, this is something to be done with your parents. You as a kid can't do this, but you can maybe sit and be part of those conversations about the family reunion plan. And you can obviously advocate for taking some time as a family to discuss these. And then lastly, if you have a little extra, so this is the time when there's a lot of people in disasters, a lot of people are really struggling. A lot of people, might lose their jobs, or just there's a lot of economic uncertainty. Obviously you go to the grocery store and you wanted to get something and it wasn't there. So just, there's a little bit of uncertainty in people just being able to have a little bit, if you have a little bit extra, being able to share that with other people really creates a sense of community and supports people that are just needing a little bit extra help. And we all need that at some point or another. So maybe you're planting a garden and you make some extra vegetable starts and you can put them out. Maybe you've got some things on a tree. So places that you might want to put them is some people have these little libraries that have books in them. So maybe people need to, if it's not raining in your area, take the actual doors off them so people aren't touching the metal handles. Or maybe you put things on the curbside with the little sign. Remember, if you are putting things out or you are taking things, think about the grocery disinfection challenge. And so make sure that you are, sanitizing things. If it's, something you pick up, can you put it somewhere in your house and let it sit for a while? and then sanitize it, but make sure you're washing your hands and doing all those things. And then also really an idea to kind of think about, using hashtags to help people locate stuff. So for example, like hashtag, LCM for Larkspur Cordavidera Cares, hashtag LCM shares, so that people can find those resources, but then also kind of create a movement of taking care of each other's and kind of being a great neighbor. So won't you be my neighbor? I hope you will be, and take good care of yourselves. And yeah, okay, best wishes. Take care.